Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the Slug Me video series covering the entire design and creation of our custom dinosaur. After the team left, I honestly kind of wanted to just panic, scream, and basically run around in circles. But instead, I decided to grab my tools and just get back to work, carving in more detail and bringing this sculpture to life. For the dried spray foam, I found my fillet knives worked the best and gave me the most control. And for smoothing out the XPS material, the Surform shaver worked great. For the larger chunk removal, I stuck with my reciprocating saw and that flexible blade that Sal gifted me. I also relied on a hot wire cutter, bamboo skewers, and expanding foam to get this process done. The goal was to fill in all the voids and keep the main surface super smooth and natural looking. The next task was to get the hands 3D printed and installed into place. I was shocked with how well this part went together. Those hand pieces wrapped perfectly around those 2-inch steel spheres, providing me with just enough articulation to pose it perfectly. I then needed to add material and reshape Frank's wrists and forearms. I was super careful to match the original pose from our 3D model. Once that was finished, I moved on to the giant ankle section that Gian asked me to print out. Just as this was finishing up, Gian showed up, and he showed up in a big way. He had the other 17 pieces of the completed dinosaur feet. He basically used every 3D printer he could get access to. We used dowel pins to align all the parts and epoxy glue to lock everything into place. A huge thank you goes out to Gian and everyone at the Waltham Fab Lab that helped out. Also, shout out to Luke Daly for giving these feet such an amazing texture job. That was super helpful. We also sprayed some primer on the feet just to give it a better look. We used a hot knife to melt away all the parts of the foam to give us more depth and texture. Both Gian and I thought it was very important to make this dinosaur as realistic as possible. So we really focused on trying to achieve as much detail at the base layer as possible. We continued to blend and clean up all the surfaces. Seriously, with feet and hands in place, it was really starting to come to life. Andy Barnes helped out by using X-Generative Design and creating a Voronoi partition on a custom dinosaur skin texturizer. When he was done modeling up this tool, I sent it directly to my 3D printer and bam, we had a custom dinosaur skin texturizing tool. This made such a realistic pattern on top of the 2-part epoxy clay. This tool was perfect. Thanks, Andy. It was really helpful having Gian for this part of the project. Both of us were very new at working with this epoxy sculpt clay, and it was great having him there to work on it together and bounce ideas off each other. We both had a blast working with this clay and had a lot of fun adding tendons and veins and all those little extra details. For underneath the dino and any extremely hard to get at surfaces, we used a quick drying spackle compound. Gian had to go back to the real world and I stayed here, and a couple days later I got the most interesting package anyone has ever shipped to me before. It was a giant dinosaur head. This year for Slug Me, we got some serious help from our friends over at Go Engineer. They use their large format SLA printer to print out the head of the dinosaur. They also use PolyJet technology to print out extremely accurate teeth and gums for us. The head slipped right into place. However, we knew we had some work to do around the neck and the shoulder area. So I got to work sculpting, cutting, grinding, adding, and removing material wherever it made sense. With the neck area drying, I decided to switch my attention to my 3D printer and start with the spine spikes. I created these spikes with bamboo spikes inside of them and actually had to recess and cut down into the XPS foam so that these spikes would sit flush into the dinosaur and then glue on top of that. What started off with just needing about 10 spikes quickly grew into a really serious obsession, and every time I added a spike, it just made it look that much better. I let the neck and shoulders cure overnight, and then I started sculpting at it again. I remounted the head, traced it out, and then went back in and made some more defined cuts. By this time in the project, I was really getting kind of tired of seeing XPS foam and expanding foam all over my shop. I definitely could start to see that dust in my sleeve. But it was totally worth it because this dinosaur was really starting to come to life. So next up, we'll be printing and installing the horns, claws, and literally hundreds more of those spine spikes. And I gotta finish texturizing this guy and get him all primed up and ready for paint. And to really help Frank find his soul, I'm gonna get some help from a Slug Me friend to design and build custom digitally sculpted eyeballs. These things are gonna be awesome, and I know they're gonna take Frank to a whole new level.